Okay. Hey, I think we're live. I turned on the button. Can you see me?
No, but hold on. Let me refresh because sometimes this thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I do now.
Hey, okay, I just made a face on there. Okay, this is working out good. Hey, okay, I just made a face on there. Okay. Oh, I gotta turn that off. We did this stuff last week. Let me see here. Oh, I gotta turn that off. There you go. I done cut off the volume on my YouTube. So now that I shouldn't have an echo in there. Hey, I don't really need you, man. I can read this on my computer screen. So get off.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Hello. Let me do this seriously. Oh, golly, I got to take this off so people can see my cool hair. Oh yeah, that looks good. What do you think? Should I wear it down? All right, you're being quiet now, huh? Okay, hold on. I'll do the intro. Hello and welcome to another live stream from the only source of information you need to not only survive the current apocalypse, but actually enjoy it. And today's live stream is going to be about Melchizedek Part 6, a video series I'm producing, which Part 6 of came on just this Friday. And first off, I guess I should introduce the Master of Ceremonies today. Just unfortunate, I was checking our bank account for the sustenance and covering, and over $30 million was out. Oh, wait a second, I'm live. Okay. Sheesh. Man, I am so sorry, folks. I have absolutely no idea what's going on with the technology here, because like I said, I caught Ala Toledo embezzled over $30 million from sustenance and coverings bank account, so I had to replace him with BMW guy. You see him commenting sometime on the live streams, and oh, come on, I'm just kidding. Ala Toledo's on an airplane flight somewhere today, so he couldn't do the live stream. That's the truth. But BMW guy is here. He's standing in for him, and I've got my little camera set up by the speaker, so you should be able to hear him when he says something. I hope. Hey, wait, now let's see. That's not right. That's not the speaker. I get so confused when I'm doing this stuff. All right, people, I'm going to move you over here so that you can hear BMW guy. Why do they call you BMW guy, Mr. BMW guy?
Because I used to have a bunch of old BMW cars.
What are you driving currently?
An old BMW car.
Yeah, but what kind in particular?
2001 BMW 525D. Station wagon.
A diesel?
Yes.
They don't have those in America.
No, but they sure do in Hungary.
So, in other words, you actually left the greatest country on earth to move to some backwoods country just because they had really cool cars there?
Well, that and the fact that my pension money goes twice as far as it does in the U.S.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's understandable then. Actually, just moving there for the cars would be cool. I'd love to have a diesel station wagon. That would just be incredible.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. We've talked, in case anybody out there is wondering, we have talked about this before, me and BMW guy. I go to these car shows over here in the U.S., and if he had that thing here, that it wouldn't get in because of its age, but if you told him it was a diesel station wagon, they would have let it in based on its rarity. There's probably like 12 of them in the entire United States, if that. So anyway, today's video is going to be a discussion of the information that was in Part 6 of the Melchizedek series, which is information about Jesus' brothers and sisters, but it's just the basic information. And what I mean by that is that I got to drink some water. There's a verse in the Bible, I think in the book of two different books of the Bible, cover an event where Jesus is trying to preach to people, and they say, why would you listen to this guy? He's a nobody. He's not like one of the great prophets or anything. This is his mother, this is his father, and here's his 4 brothers, and here's his sisters. His brothers are Joseph, Simon, Judas, and eventually I'll think of what the other one is. But the whole thing is James. So he's got 4 brothers that are mentioned by name. The Catholic Church says these are not Jesus's brothers. There's several explanations that are going around. One is that Saint Joseph, Jesus' father, had four boys and a couple of girls by a previous marriage. Now that's just speculation, which has absolutely no basis in truth, no scriptural support. But another thing that they say is that the word brother in ancient Greek could have meant anything. It didn't have to be your brother. It could just be any family member, including cousins. So these 4 people that are mentioned by name and the sisters that are mentioned are just cousins of Jesus. So, when I go into doing this kind of stuff, I always go look at the scriptures for myself, because if the Catholic Church says that that's the explanation, then I should be able to see that for myself by examining the original ancient documents in ancient Greek or ancient Hebrew. And in my examination of those documents, which are available online, it's very, very obvious that Jesus had at least 4 fleshly brothers and at least 2 fleshly sisters. And there's no reason to believe that these people were the children of Joseph, that Joseph brought these into the marriage. And in fact, there's nothing in the Bible whatsoever about Joseph and Mary ever getting married. In English, Joseph and Mary are husband and wife. But in the original language text, they simply were in a sexual romantic relationship at one time. So from that, there are a few basic things we can learn about Jesus' family. We can actually, as you're going to learn in the next video, we can see that those relationships, those 4 named men, end up popping up over and over again throughout the Bible. And as their names pop up, it mentions how they are related to Jesus. In other words, whether it's through his mother, through his father, or through both. And it explains who the brothers and sisters of each of those 4 named men are. And so by the end of this series, you'll know more about Jesus' family than has been discussed by anybody from the time that Jesus died. But that's in next week. We'll go into all the stuff that's deep. For right now, you can just rest assured that the argument between the Protestant religions and the Catholic religion over whether or not these 4 brothers are actually Jesus' brothers is very obvious. It's very obvious that these 4 were brothers of Jesus, blood brothers, that through his mother Mary. So as the series progresses, we'll go deeper into that. So what do we got going on over there, Shannon?
Okay, got some greetings. The first is Jim says good morning. Patrick Russell, hello from Northeast Saskatchewan. Jarvis Pennyworth says yo. Patricia Riverick says greetings, SNC and friends. And then she says, lost you. And then we got S. Coulter says hello all. And Shannon Holt says hello, S. Coulter. Restoring reality. The cool thing about Melchizedek is that before Israel, Jacob was his grandfather, had already met Yahweh's king and priest of Salem, which means his children were keeping the Sabbath holy before Moses. And restoring reality also said there was a typo in there, so I already corrected that for him. It's Thomas Tucker. It says, good day, mate, to Eric, Ala Toledo, and all. And that's what I have so far.
So far today, we've had 2 major mistakes. I referred to you as Shannon, even though we decided we weren't going to use our regular names. And now Thomas Tucker called me Eric. So now the so it's ruined. The whole channel is ruined. There's no more. What is it? There's no confidentiality, no more secrets. It's all out.
No anonymity.
Yeah, but at least I didn't tell people that your last name, you were Shannon Jones and I'm Eric Smith. So at least that information didn't get out.
Yeah, all is good.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't even care anymore. I used to worry that the Empire would track me down or some psychopath that hates the truth of the Bible would hunt me down and kill me. And now I'm like, please kill me. I'm getting so tired of this. Being sustenance and covering is great. Don't get me wrong, but the stuff I talk about is based on the fact that we live in a really messed up world. And I wake up every day and I look at my situation, I look at the situations of my subscribers, and I'm like, I can't take this anymore, and I don't expect my subscribers can take it anymore. But that's okay. It's starting to look like things are really, really winding up. Like we're just on the edge of the end of the empire. Look, Thomas is saying, I can see some of this stuff. I can see, but in fact, you know what? I'm going to do something right now. I'm just going to disappear for the screen for a minute. Maybe you could break into song or something to keep people entertained for the next for the next 10 seconds.
You don't want to hear me sing because everybody say sing so low we can't hear you.
Yeah, just sing solo. Are you trying to say solo?
Yeah.
Y'all are gonna love this. The VA finally sent me my glasses. In fact, these are Veterans Administration glasses right here. That I thought that they had cut me out because I was trying to get over the system. Here's my other glasses that I got from that eye doctor. So this must be these are my computer glasses. I can actually see my computer really good with the ones I'm wearing, which are driving glasses. But these right here, these are the ones I can see crystal clear. I can see my laptop and my iPad crystal clear through these. So you can comment all you want. I don't even need BMW guy with these glasses on. So have we got any more comments, Mr. BMW guy?
Yeah, we do. Let's see. Zebra says greetings from Fayette, Georgia. Patricia says this is my real name. Bob G. Morning, everyone. Uplifting convo on Sunday. Thomas Tucker says, oops, sorry, lol. Patricia said, according to the BMV, it's not the name on my birth certificate. I think that's a typo for DMV. Giving more. Anyway, she's talking about her birth certificate giving me one more punishment for being married. Then S. Coulter, my mom is still waiting on her glasses from the VA, and that's all we have so far.
Well, here's the deal with that. The VA. I broke my glasses. I went on a trip with my mom, and I broke my glasses. And the glasses that I had at home, my backup glasses, were already broke. So I'm like, I have no way to see. I was able to tie this thing together. I just threw those glasses away like a week ago. But anyway. I called the VA and said, I ain't got no glasses. I have got to get an eyeglass appointment. They said, okay, well, you're due. You're due 2 pairs, so come on in. And they gave me an appointment. And then the next day they said, millions are dying in the streets from a terrible disease. And I thought, that's funny. I get a call from the VA saying that millions are dying in the streets. Don't come down here. We're not going to do eyeglasses because it's not important. And I'm like, well, I can't see. It's important to me. Well, they did that for 6 months. The eye clinic at the VA was closed down. So they finally opened back up, and I was one of the first ones to call because I got canceled early on. And they kept on, and they finally got me in to a civilian eye doctor, and they said my glasses would be there in 4 weeks. Well, it took about 10 weeks, I think. And I was worried that they had caught me and like, oh, yeah, you're trying to pull an insurance scam because I've got 2 insurances and I was getting both of them to buy glasses, which, I don't need 2 pairs a year, but that's what I'm set up for now because of my insurance. So anyway, I called the lady and I said, okay, I guess I got caught and I'm not getting my glasses. Can I make an appointment to come down and buy some glasses? Because the VA will sell you a pair of glasses for $25. That's whether you're a veteran or not. You just walk. If the VA clinic where you live has got an eyeglass place, You can just go in and get glasses for $25. Well, one of my friends, subscribers, said that they went down, they wouldn't let him in because you got to get an appointment, and it's impossible to get an appointment unless you're a veteran. So until this pandemic stuff is over, civilians cannot get into the VA to get a pair of glasses. Yeah, why am I covering all this stuff? We're supposed to be talking about Melchizedek. Have we got anything? Well, wait, what were the first? Let me scroll through here because that was so complicated that I really don't remember. Okay, Mark Trujillo says Melchizedek had nothing to do with Yeshua Emmanuel. Okay, yeah. Well, I think he means Yeshua, Jesus. That's a Hebrew version of the name Joshua, which is what Jesus is a Greek version of the Hebrew word Joshua. This is the Hebrew word. But yeah, they're not the same person at all. Obviously the book of Hebrews compares Melchizedek to Jesus. And so, yes, Jesus does have something to do with Melchizedek, but not relative wise. They're not. They're not the same biologic. They're not brothers or cousins or descendants or whatever. They're not the same person. So let's go over here and see what else. Where was it? What was the other comment about Melchizedek?
Restoring Reality said the cool thing about Melchizedek is that before Israel, and then in parentheses, Jacob was his grandfather, had already met Yahweh, king and priest of Salem, which means his children were keeping the Sabbath holy before Moses.
Okay, I see it now. I see the comment. Okay, before Israel was his grandfather, had already met. Well, I don't think. I mean, they had kings and priests that were doing a lot of stuff other than just Sabbath rituals. So that's there. Obviously, here's the thing: we know that the Sabbath, the 7-day cycle, is based on a celestial phenomenon that no longer exists. So prior to the Babylonian conquest, something would happen to our sky every 7 days. We don't even know what it is now. We just know that all of the cycles of time mentioned in the Bible are based on celestial phenomenon. So like a day, amount of time that it takes for the sun to rise and set, or rise again. So that's a cycle of time. A month had something to do with the moon. Every 30 days, the moon would do something. And so that was a cycle of time. But we have no information about what caused the Sabbath. So something happened every 7 days in our sky. And so God said he put an end to the Sabbath. So there was nothing that would happen in the sky. So obviously for years and years and years, people would somehow observe the Sabbath. And we know that even before the law was given, that the Sabbath existed. What human beings did, we don't know. Whether or not it was associated with any kind of religious rituals that might be conducted by a priest, we don't know. So that's just speculation. So it's possible that something was going on with the Sabbath. It's possible that all the priests did was talk to God and relay messages from God back to humanity, which sounds more reasonable. But we don't know. We don't know. So is there anything else in there about
first, before I give you the next comments, Katie Cooks and Crafts said, I cannot stay long, but I will say hello. And the next question, I think, is from Discernment Files. It says, Henry, I believe we are experiencing a satanical Sabbath. If it goes over March 2021, then it will be a Jubilee Sabbath lasting 2 years. Do you agree?
Yes. Right now, it's very obvious that, here's what the government does, right? They get bored and they say, when's the last time we killed off 1 million human beings? And they all be in a circle and like, that's been a while. It's, however it happens, I don't know. The Lord Satan enters in amongst them and says, I need more ritual human sacrifices. And they say, well, we need to get all the children from this nation to go overseas and murder the children of this other nation. So what are we going to say? Well, let's say that a madman in the Middle East has weapons of mass destruction. So they go on TV and they say that, and people line up to send their children overseas to murder somebody else's children based on a fiction. And it's like every single major event, every turning point throughout all of human history, all the way back to the Egyptian Empire, was always a fabricated fiction. They won't just say, I mean, in the Bible it says that millions of human beings were sacrificed to ritual human sacrifice. It doesn't say how they accomplished it, but you can believe it was the same thing. Some king somewhere says, we don't have enough crops this year. God wants us to sacrifice. And so that's what we have to understand now. You know, we've got a pandemic. Millions are dying in the streets, and I have, since this pandemic has started, I have drove down the streets thousands of times. I've never seen a body out there. So that's obviously whatever they're telling us is questionable. And it started right on like March 20th. That's when that's when everybody started this, oh, we got to shut down all businesses. And when that happened, it just happened to be perfect timing for what was the ancient Sabbath year. It always started right there on the equinox, fall or spring equinox, all the way through to the next spring equinox. That's a 1-year Sabbath. That's a Sabbath year, sabbatical. But there's another cycle of time that happened every 7 cycles of time. So you would have 6 Sabbath years, and then the 7th Sabbath year would be a 2-year cycle. So you would have businesses shut down for 2 years. That would be what's called a Jubilee. And so right now, we don't know if we're in a sabbatical or a Jubilee, but it's very obvious that this is a return to Satan's satanic calendar. You know, back in the ancient past, God gave the Israelites the 10 Commandments, and he said, once every 7 days, you have to rest. That was the law. So you could work 6 days, but on the 7th day, you couldn't work. And they rejected God's law. So God gave them Satan's law, the law of Moses, this ritualistic, nonsensical law about, you know, when you could wear certain clothing and what kind of animals you could eat. And as part of that law, they had to stop working once every 7 years and take a complete year off from work. And then they had to, once every 49 years, they had to stop for 2 years. That was so. Right now, I know for a fact that that's what this is. This is following that ancient satanic calendar. We're going to take a year off from work. Maybe not. Maybe we're going to take 2 years off of work. In any case, I know for a fact that in the book of Revelation, when it talks about all these bizarre things that you can see, most of that is celestial. It's a celestial phenomenon. And so the restoration of earth is going to be in association with some kind of celestial phenomenon similar to the phenomenon that existed before the Babylonian conquest, or even, in fact, before the flood. Because there's several times in the Bible when the planet's appearance changed, and no one knew that was coming. It was a surprise to everybody. You know, the story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being told to bow to this image, and that the something didn't happen because of them. That's all about celestial phenomena. It's the movement of the sun and the earth and the moon back in the day when things were in conjunction. After the Babylonian conquest, the sun and the earth and the moon went out of conjunction. And so whatever they were viewing for hundreds of years, thousands of years, it just stopped. You know, are you as good at straightening me out as Al Toledo? Every now and then he'll tell me, you know, you need to shut up and stick to the subject. Am I sticking to this?
I think you're doing fine. I was just going to make one comment that over here in Europe, they started all this lockdown stuff. I think it was about the 20th of March of this past year that they started all this lockdown stuff here. Of course, we don't have the lockdowns in Hungary nearly as bad as some countries have had it, but it's still, that is very interesting. And we're coming up on the end of a year, so it won't be long. We'll know whether this is just a regular cycle or whether this is the Jubilee. We'll know pretty quick.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, for thousands of years now, you know, they've had these all satanic rituals take place in accord with like the ancient rituals that took place in the nation of Israel. So, but the thing is, at the time when that law was established, the celestial objects like the sun, the earth, the moon, the planets, we're following this predictable path that anybody could know. Now it's predictable, but it's only predictable by science. You can't look up at the sky and say, that's where Saturn is going to be in 6 months and 3 days. Scientists can do that. But at one time, anybody could do it. They could look up and say, oh, it's Thursday, or, oh, it's winter. They could just look at the sky and tell. It would just be obvious because things were. But when the calendar got confused, and when the Babylonians conquered Israel, everything went completely haywire. Nothing worked anymore. And so people started guessing. And what happens is, like, every culture celebrates the spring and fall equinox, the winter and summer solstice on different days. Because it's for years and years and years, nobody understood how the calendar worked. They still had these things like the celebration of Ashtoreth, the worship of the moon goddess, which is where we get Easter. Ashtoreth, Ishtar, Easter, Esther, all of those words are the same. So you have Easter, but the Greek, the Orthodox, the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Western Catholic Church celebrate Easter on different days because they fight over how to make an artificial conjunction between the sun and the earth and the moon that doesn't exist. Because that's how, if you read the Bible, that's how you determine when Passover is by looking at the sun and the moon and how they relate to one another. But, of course, since they don't relate the same way anymore, everybody fights. So Israel, the Jewish people, they celebrate their Passover on a different day than the Catholic Church celebrates Easter, on a different day than the Eastern Orthodox Church celebrates their Easter. And in fact, around the world, every culture, the Hindus, the Muslims, they all have different days associated with the equinox. And so they're all celebrating those days on different dates. So, you have what they call the spring. In the spring, you have the fertility rites of Wicca. It's a different day than Easter and Passover. So this thing that is going on now, I say it started on March 20th because that's the date of the equinox, but it really didn't. It started, for some people, 15 days before that, and for other people, it started 15 days after that, simply because this cycle of time is like all the other satanic rituals that people, and this is just another satanic ritual, so it may not stop on March 20th. It may stop for some people on March the 10th. It may stop for other people on March the 30th or April the 15th or something. It's going to be all through that time, that cycle of time that surrounds the spring equinox. Got any more questions from anybody?
Yeah, Thomas Tucker asked, how come Mary's, and then in parentheses, Jesus Christ's girlfriend, in parentheses, last name was not Christ?
Because they didn't get a legal marriage, that's why. Actually, that wasn't even Jesus' last name. That was his title, Jesus the Christos. Yeah. And so I wish Thomas Tucker's name was like Cowboy 31 or something. I'd be telling people his real name is Thomas Tucker. But
okay.
Can't get him.
The next comment is, and it says not related to the last episode, but is the Book of Life an actual book, or is it referring to the constellations?
I'm not really sure. Book of Life, I've always thought about that. You can believe that God or Jesus or whoever is not like writing on a piece of paper. But yeah, it could just be this guy. This guy. If you look at the Book of Revelation, it talks about this woman, this harlot named Babylon the Great. I remember when I was Catholic or Baptist or whatever, that all of a sudden, I came to Revelation and I'm reading about who Babylon the Great is. And I really wanted to know who that was. And the Jehovah's Witnesses knocked on my door and they handed me a magazine and it had a picture of Babylon the Great, this woman riding on the beast. And it said, who is Babylon the Great? And I thought, wow, this is cool because I really want to know. And I read it and it said that Babylon the Great was all of the religions of the world, the confusing, warring families of religion. And I read their explanation for that, why that was, and I thought, my God, this is real. These people know what they're talking about. But I got to looking at it later on my own, after I had separated myself from Jehovah's Witnesses. and I could see that it seemed like everything in the book of Revelation involved celestial phenomenon. You know, it talked about the sea of glass that God placed his feet upon as he's up in heaven, and I thought, well, that's that. You know, the sea of ice, or because it didn't say sea of glass, it said the hard transparent sea. Well, we know that seas are made of water. Hard transparent sea would be a sea made of ice, and I had discovered earlier on that the waters of the flood didn't pump out of the ground, and they didn't come from the fact that space is made out of water. They came because that sea of water, sea of ice, was shattered, because that's the wording of it. When we read in our English Bibles, the floodgates of the heavens were opened up, the actual wording of that is the hard transparency, or the sky window, was shattered as if it was struck. And that made sense to me because, you know, in the fossil record, we've got this large area where you'll find these fossils buried in mud, like millions buried instantaneously in mud. But when you get to the south and north poles, the closer you get, the more you start finding completely preserved animals. And see, Thomas is messing me up because he just sent that little comment that you're seeing right now. He says my real name is Seymour Butts. What was I talking about? Help me.
Okay.
I
Well,
need.
you were talking about the Sea of Glass. And,
Oh, yeah. Fossilized. If you get down up near the North Pole, South Pole, and you get through that ice, because there's guys that drill through there to do some kind of studies. When they get to the bottom, they always find tropical plants. You know, why would you find tropical plants near the North and South Poles under this pile of ice? And not only that, but there's always like animals. And when they get the animals out, they're not skeletal remains; they're complete animals, and they'll have food in their mouth. They're like eating grass, and this chunk of ice crushed them. Well, that makes sense. The Bible says that the sky window was shattered as if it was struck. So what else we got going on out there?
Okay, well, we have greetings from It's Not Real. It says, hello, everyone. The suspense is intense. And then Marie's Vegetable Garden says, well, I made the actual live. Hello there. And the next comment is from Discernment Files. They say, the book of life is a real book. As far as I know, all I care about is getting my name in there.
Yeah, wouldn't that be good to actually be able to peek in and see if your name is in there?
You know.
And then of course, if you don't find it and you go look in the other book,
yeah,
like, oh boy, I wish I had never gone looking for this information.
There's sometimes it's better to not ask certain questions. You might get an answer you're not expecting.
I'll go ahead. You're telling me about Marie's veg.
Okay, Marie's Vegetable Garden said, well, I made the actual live. Hello there. And then the next thing I was going to say is Discernment Files commented, said, book of life is a real book. As far as I know, all I care about is getting my name in there. And then the next thing is Patrick Russell said, this is definitely crazy times. Division is the flavor of the day.
You know, that's one of the things I did not want to talk about, because I want to stick to the subject matter. But I was talking to one of my subscribers the other day. I said, so far, well, we've had five Melchizedek videos have been released prior to this, and we've done 5 live streams, and we have not once stuck to the subject matter, even though I made Toledo swear not to bring up any questions unrelated to Melchizedek, right? So he's like, I was like, Al Toledo, what's going on out there? He goes, there's no questions about Melchizedek. I'm like, I don't want that. I want to talk about Melchizedek. But anyways, most of the videos we've done so far, these live streams, have had so many technical difficulties that they were completely destroyed before we ever got started. And here's another thing from Marie commenting. I just remembered, since I've started this Melchizedek series, there's been several people I've talked to that seemingly get it. They seem to understand what this series is about. They understand what this channel is about. And I have said, I would love to talk to you on Skype. And I just want you to know, I have every intention of talking to you on Skype. But we can't do that until all of this Melchizedek stuff is out of the way. I want to make sure, well, first off, there's two reasons for that. One is it's very labor intensive. I got to spend so much time with this, responding to stuff about Melchizedek and all, that I just don't have time to add any new friends to Skype. But secondly, I think a lot of people are sending me comments like, you are the only person teaching truth, that kind of stuff. And I want to wait till we get to the end of Melchizedek, where we reveal all of the information about Jesus, about his family life, about his sex life, and about who he really was. Because once all that comes out, and I can promise you there's nothing in this series is going to be like anything you've ever heard. A lot of the people who are telling me you are a true prophet of God are going to be calling me a heretic by the time this is over with. So I don't want to go start any new relationships with people knowing that there's a good possibility a lot of those people are going to hate my guts soon. So, and Marie's one of them. I've been wanting to talk to her for probably over a year, and she said something a while back that caught my attention. And I think there's only two other people I've said that to. But just know that when this series is over, you might have to remind me. Just send me a thing saying you told me you would talk to me on Skype, and I will make a date for us to talk on, like you, BMW guy, Frank. Yeah, you and I talk on Skype all the time. I don't even remember how we got to talking on Skype, but it was you said something that caught my attention, and I was like, okay, this guy is on board. I don't even know why he's on board or how he's on board, but I need to talk to him because I need to see what how people or why people react the way they do. Because a lot of people see my videos and they just tell me you're going straight to hell and you don't, I wish YouTube would take you down for the horrible lies you're saying against baby Jesus. And so, I have to be careful about who I talk to. I see Marie's, I got the good glasses on. Marie just says, I will definitely remind you.
Do you want me to remind you why we?
Yeah. Tell me why did we get together? Are you scared? Oh, I lost it right at the peak moment. Okay, what do I do? He's still there. You just got to be rehooked up. But yeah, let me tell you one of the things that goes on with me, or what originally, when I first started doing this sustenance and covering thing, people would say, wow, man, you have such a cool channel. I love everything you do. You're a great speaker. You're really good looking. And I've never had any friends before in real life. I've never had a real friend in my life, as far as I know. And when somebody says something like that, you're going, I have a friend. And you get yourself in a lot of trouble because you find out that, they like all your stuff about how to raise chickens, but they hate everything you say about the government, or they hate everything you say about Shannon. I'm going to call him back if I can. Let me turn this so you don't get your ears blown out. That's probably him that's out because I think my connection is pretty strong here. Oh, well, he'll be back. He's probably moving. I'm moving. We're live, it says. Okay, hear me, Mr. BMW guy?
Yeah.
Okay, what we were talking about is how you and I got to be talking on Skype.
Yeah.
Well,
how that happened is I made a comment, or I asked you a question about something, and I think that I impressed you because I actually was listening to what you're saying and asked a question, and I think we were talking about something about a video you did about Israel or the Jewish people.
Okay. Well, I do also remember you saying you were leaving this country to go to Hungary, and I'm like, the grass is always greener on the other side, Mr. BMW guy. I mean, why? You're going to have to go from this country where everything is really screwed up to another country where everything is really screwed up. And you're like, no, it's nice. It's a nice village. I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're an idiot. And then a week later, you called me and said, man, it is so great over here in Hungary.
Yeah.
Well, we all of us are, well.
Now I've got an error message on my YouTube screen that said an error occurred. Please try again later.
Well,
So your feet may be down.
hey, look, mine is froze up over here, but I mean, I'm still recording here, so we'll just keep going as if everything's all right. Well, oh, well, you know what? Here we can talk about discernment files just left a message, and I was able to see it before it went off. It said it's not a sin to look at a woman, it's only a sin if you commit adultery. There, and look, here he is again. Okay, so it's stuff is coming off. Okay, if it all fails, says we can still see you, so we're good. If you can't get any of the messages, we're in trouble. But and I can't see me. I'm looking at this thing, and it's just the YouTube spiral of death going around. Does my hair look good?
I'm just seeing the black hair occurred. You're probably gonna have to.
No, everybody seems to be doing good. I can see and hear you, and howdy everyone from Rick Ballard. But anyways, here's the thing that people need to know, and I probably should remind people of this every week because some people are new here. Is as we go through this Melchizedek series, we're going to see that sex is not a big deal in the Bible. Only thing in the Bible that's a big deal is manipulating people by using love. So the word fornication, which in Greek is zana, it actually means pretending to love someone in order to take advantage of them. It doesn't have anything to do, in English, the word fornication means any sex act outside of marriage, period. Or any weird sex act, any sex act with someone you're not married to. But the word zana, what it means is like what a car salesman does. They come out there and they pretend like they're your friend and like they have your best interest at heart. And the reality is they just want your money. And they will pretend to love you until they get cash in hand, and then they don't care about you. And that's the way most marriages are. It's just somebody wants a free house and a free car and a free slave, and they pretend to love you. And then you get married and you find out that you're a slave and that you no longer own your house and you no longer own your car. And that's what zina is. That's fornication. Adultery is anyone who treats love as a commodity in any way. So adultery basically is you tell somebody, I'll have sex with you, but only if you marry me. That is adultery. Adultery is when you make a deal. If you want to make love to someone, that's approved. God approves of people loving one another. And it doesn't matter. The word, it says God is love in the Bible. That word is agapeo or agape. God is love. God loves Jesus, agape. God loves us, agape. We love God, agape. But sex in the Bible is also called agape. God has no laws against love, whether it's sexual love, romantic love, brotherly love, whatever. All of that love is okay. What he doesn't like is when you use love in order to manipulate people, which is just pure evil. And that makes good sense. The whole time I was growing up, I'm looking at the Ten Commandments and how Jesus had to deal with all these fornicators and adulterers. And then I got to looking at how that word is used. Discernment file says, so was I right? Yes, you're right. Technically, you are right, but I did want to make sure that everybody understands what adultery really is. Because adultery has nothing to do with having sex without a license from the government or having sex with somebody who's having sex with somebody else. If you look at the people in the Bible that God really loved, like Abraham, David, Rahab, these are people who had sex with everybody. Abraham would sleep. I don't know what the sleeping arrangements were like, but Abraham had like a dozen different women that he had babies with. I imagine that in their tribe, the entire tribe slept together, and sometimes this woman would be laying across Abraham's chest, and other times this other woman. Very obvious that most of the people in the Bible had one woman that they were always with, or one man they were always with, but it didn't mean that was the only person they were ever with. It's just that was the person that they were intimate with, intellectually or spiritually, whatever. That was the person they were always with. So remember, your job is to tell me what these people are saying. Are you getting any comments coming in over there?
Yeah, there's a lot of comments. Let me see where we let's see. If it all fails, says food supply is fleeting and the days are shorter. And then they go on to say Vatican is dark. And then the next comment is from Sermon Files. It says why they changed the, I guess it's a question. It says why they changed the calendar to Gregorian to mess up the Sabbath month, supposed to start on the new moon.
Well, if you remember, I did a video series. I did 2 of them, but one of them, the best one, I think, is called Written in Stone. It's about these stone calendars found all around the earth. When God decided to destroy the entire law of Moses, he moved all of the planets, the moon, the sun, into completely different relationships with one another. So you no longer had a Sabbath, you no longer had months, you no longer had years. You had to physically, the way people had to do for years and years and years, they'd say, oh, just as an example, Venus and Mars are both in the sky, so that means we need to plant our crops today, or whatever. And then when that stopped happening, they didn't know when to plant their crops. That's devastating. If you plant your crops too early, they don't work. You plant them too late, they don't work. You have to plant them on the right day. So these people they could not go by any calendar that any religion had. So they had to, over time, develop an understanding of how the new way that the solar system functions. So now, as far as, they're supposed to start on the new moon, what you don't understand is in the ancient past, there were only 2 new moons. And these were at the equinoxes. So the spring equinox, the fall equinox, you would have a lunar eclipse. But prior to that, you would have something happen to the moon every 30 days. But that stopped happening. Somebody just said, wasn't Jesus, I just saw a thing come up say, wasn't Jesus single all his life? And the fact is, I think all of the apostles and Jesus were single they never entered into a legally binding agreement with any women. But I think it's pretty obvious. When you read the Bible, it's very, very obvious that they were all sleeping with women. It doesn't give the details. It doesn't tell us all of the different women that Jesus slept with. And so the church has used that to teach us that sex is evil and Jesus would never have sex. But you get to the story of the Last Supper, and it becomes very, very obvious that Jesus was having sex. And so if you want, you can go back and look at a video that I produced a while back called Appropriate Attire for Christians. And just watch the whole video and look the words up for yourself. Because this is, the ancient Greek language is not a mystery. If you go find an ancient book that was written in ancient Greek, it'll always be accurate. But then when you get the Bible, they mistranslate everything to make it seem like that everybody in the Bible was sexless. Jesus, when he washed the feet of his apostles, his brothers, it says that the room was filled. It was all the men, women, and children that were in that tribe. So maybe as many as 100 people in there. And when Jesus washed the feet of his apostles, he stripped down naked. Doesn't say, if you get your English Bible, it says he took the towel that was hanging over his shoulder and he wiped their feet with it. That's not what it says. In Greek, it says Jesus took off all of his clothing. And then it says that Jesus lay down with the disciple whom he loved, and the 2 of them cuddled all night. So, if you put 2 and 2 together, Jesus was not he was not a virgin, but and he wasn't married, because marriage was like a government ritual. There was no marriage given to man until the Jews rejected God's law, and he gave them the law of Moses, which had in there that you could get married, and if you didn't want to be married anymore, you would give them a shoe, or it was some bizarre system of satanic rituals that they did. But Jesus, Paul never got married, Jesus never got married, the apostles never got married, except for Peter. Peter was the only one stupid enough to get married, apparently. But the others all had women, and they all had children. They just didn't get married. If it all fails, says marriage was man's law. It was. If you read the Bible from start to finish, you'll find that all the way up from, you have to read it in the original languages. It says that so-and-so had 2 wives. if you read it, it doesn't say he had two wives. He had two Aisha Shah. Aisha Shah means leader of the male tribal leader. Nothing to do with husband or wife. It's just the two women that manipulated him into, they told him what to do. Because that's what it says in the very beginning, that Adam was Aish, he was the male tribal leader, and Eve was Aisha Shah. He was a leader of the male tribal leader. And the same thing with, when you get to Abraham, it says Abraham had two Aisha Shah. One was his sister, Sarah. That's the leader of the male tribal leader, Sarah, but also Hagar. Both of them were given that title, but they were not his wives. They were not. In fact, if you go back and look, there's one word in the Bible. It's a Hebrew word. It means wife. It just means sex partner by legally binding agreement. That's what the word means. Sex partner by legal binding agreement. And that word gets translated into our English Bibles as concubines. If you go to church, they'll tell you the concubine was their girlfriend. And the Aisha Shah was their wife. No, that's not what it is. Aisha Shah is the leader, the male tribal leader. Concubine is the wife. And you'll see this, like the relationship between Sarah and Abraham is spoken about in the Old Testament, and then it's spoken about in the New Testament, and it's backwards. Like they use the words in the Old Testament improperly, and they use the words in the New Testament properly. So it says that something about Sarah being, the children of the wife are greater than the children of the girlfriend. And then you get to the New Testament, and it says exactly the opposite. And so you got to know that they're mistranslating the Old Testament word, which means wife. They're translating it as concubine.
Okay. Hey, Henry, I guess we're down to about 54 or so minutes into this deal, and there's still a lot of comments if you want me to run through some of them real quick.
Here's what I did with Al Toledo last week.
Okay.
If you have a comment or a question, and if we do not get to it during the live stream, I'll never see it. I'll never see the comments and questions that are over here on the screen, because that stuff, I have to physically watch the whole video over again to do that. So what you need to do is, once the live stream is over, you wait. It takes about a day sometimes. It seems like 24 hours. But tomorrow, even tonight maybe, you can go to the live stream. It'll post as a regular video. Then you can leave your comments or questions in the comment section of the regular video version of this, and I will see those because they'll end up in my email. Now, there was something else I wanted to talk about, which has nothing to do with the Melchizedek series, or it actually does, because all of Melchizedek is about mankind's relationship with God versus mankind's relationship with the false gods. And in the Bible, the false gods are always the politicians, the kings, the presidents, the prime ministers. Those are the false gods. It's not like invisible spirit creatures that are the gods. It was physical beings that at one time, commanded humanity. And so that's what's going on today. In Washington, D.C., a few days ago, they had this big event where people broke into the Capitol building. And at first I was like, man, I wonder who's doing this. It looks like the Republicans are out of their minds, And I don't care about Republicans, Democrats, but it just seemed like that's what was happening. And the next thing you know, you're seeing videos posted of Democrats being brought in to pretend like they're Republicans, to make the Republicans look stupid. And then you see police opening the doors to the Capitol building to let the protesters in, which their job is to make sure they don't get in, right? So here's what we know. We know that the politicians are trying to convince you of some bizarre thing that happened. The Republican people are trying to convince you of another bizarre thing that happened, which contradicts what the politicians are saying. And the Democrats are trying to convince you of another bizarre thing that happened that contradicts what the Republicans are saying and what the politicians are saying. What we can know from sitting here in our houses watching TV is that everybody involved is lying. And if we actually traveled to Washington, D.C. on that day and observed what was going on, we still can only know that everybody involved is lying. This thing that's happening now, the end of civilization, has been planned out for thousands of years by the creator of the universe. Now, he didn't give all the details. He didn't say, well, the Republicans are going to do this and the Democrats. He just said the empire is going to collapse, Jesus is going to return, and the dead are going to be resurrected. So that's what we know. We can know that this empire that we live in is going to collapse. It hurts my heart when my subscribers say, if we don't stop the such and such political party, our great nation is going to be ruined. When you say that, because you remember, this is Satan's great nation. If you say our great nation, it's saying that you physically choose to worship Satan and follow his way of life. You know, civilization does not belong to the creator of the universe. The king of civilization is not Jesus Christ. The Bible, for a fact, is not a rule book for how to get into heaven. The Bible is simply a written history of the war between God's kingdom and Satan's empire. Civilization is Satan's empire. Creation is God's kingdom. You cannot have an emotional attachment to this nonsensical system of oppression that has been ruling the world for 6,000 years. You have to be able to emotionally distance yourself from it, or you're not going to make it. I'm not saying you won't be resurrected, but a better solution to being resurrected is to live forever without needing a resurrection. That's the only choices we're given, life and death, not heaven and hell, but the option of living by listening to God's voice, or the option of dying for listening to the presidents, prime ministers, kings, emperors, etc., of this demonic civilization.
Okay.
Is that a good place to wrap up?
Okay, here's a comment. I obviously can't, there's so many on here, I can't possibly make all of them, but one, Jarvis Pennyworth says, please consider uploading your videos to BitChute. It says, YouTube is banning a bunch of channels.
Yeah, that's what's going to end up. Well, you know, here's the deal. It's a lot of work. Everything on this channel is a lot of work, and I hate it. I hate doing these live streams. I hate writing scripts. I hate setting up cameras. I hate editing video. I hate all of it. I love truth. I love learning, and I love teaching. It's just that you can't learn or teach in this world unless you have the internet, because the guy that lives in that house right there, he's a jerk. And the guy that lives over there is a jerk. I can't teach them anything, and I can't learn anything from them. So I have to be I have to be international. I have to have a global audience just to find, what do we got, like 100 people that eventually watch the streams, watch the videos, and it looks like I got 1,000 views like every week. And that's because I've got good quality subscribers who watch the thing 10 times so they can get everything out of it. It's not because I have 1,000 subscribers. Although a lot of my subscribers are watching with their spouses, their children, their girlfriends, boyfriends. And so we're not getting earth-wide. I'm revealing all the secrets of the earth. And on a planet populated by 7 billion people, 100 are interested. You know, I'm not telling anybody about the entertainment industry or who plays the best game of golf. Those channels are getting billions of views. Me, I'm telling people the truth. I'm getting almost no views. And in fact, if you noticed, if you were one of those people that's always there at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday or Friday to watch the videos, you'll notice it didn't get up until like 8:30 or so. And that's because I woke up, my wife, I have to give my wife medication every morning, and so I went and got her pill case, and it said Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There was pills in Friday. I opened it up, and I'm like, Friday? Is this Friday? And I looked at my watch, and it was like 8:15. So I had to scramble over here, and nobody watched, because all those people that were sitting there waiting to watch, they weren't there. They had already waited 15 minutes and wandered away. I mean, they eventually came back, I'm sure, and got the video, but oh, it's just terrible to go through. You know, I put like 1 million man hours into helping 100 people, and I'll keep doing it. But it's a drudgery. I mean, it really is a drudgery. I enjoy having friends, but it's just so much work, you know? Friendship should be like what you and I have, BMW guy. We can just pick up Skype and talk. We don't have to write a script or anything.
Well, Henry, you know, the truth is never popular, and seldom does somebody who is putting out the truth, have a lot of friends in the world. If you're telling the truth, if you're telling them what they want to hear, you'll have all kinds of friends.
Yeah. And you'll get a lot of votes.
Yeah.
If you're a politician.
Yeah.
You know
Well,
what?
it's right at an hour now. How much longer do you want to go on? Because you got so many comments, it would take 30 more minutes
Well,
to possibly even read them all.
the worst part about it is when we get to the end of the comments that are left, then it'll be more comments. So, you know, Alex Leo is really good. He's like a business guy. He's like, it's an hour, turn it off. I'm like, yes, sir. I'm sorry. I won't go over next time, I promise. But, yeah, let's go ahead and take it all out. There's something really radical up there that I need to know. But no, we're not even going to do that. Here's the deal. It's over. The stream is over. We're going to go ahead and shut it down. If you have a comment or a question, or you just want to say hello, in about 12 hours to a day, this video will be right there in my normal, like where if you go to Sustenance and Covering and click on videos, all my videos will come up in, you know, chronological order, and it'll be right there. And then you can leave a comment, and I will get back to you. I don't, you know, if I don't get back to you, it's because I didn't get a notification from YouTube, which does happen. I have been on here before and seen comments and go, oh my God, I never saw that. And I click on it, it's from a year earlier. So if you don't get a response, it's not because I don't want to respond. I respond to everything. Oh well, thank you so much, Mr. BMW guy, and Thomas Tucker for helping us out today. And as always, come back next Friday. They're going to have a continuation of Melchizedek about the things about Jesus' family that no one has spoken about in 2,000 years. I promise you, they're all true. They're undeniable. They're easily provable. And it will blow your mind. And if this information ever gets to the churches, they are going to be scrambling to stop me. So that's how important this is. Please come back next Friday for the regular video. And next Sunday, come back for the live stream where we discuss the video. Oh, as always, if you do not wish to survive, don't listen to me. Now I'm going to press this button end.